Welcome back to Problematic Women, where every week we check in on the pulse on politics and pop culture. Today with us, we have our lovely guest host and Problematic Woman of the Week, Isabel Brown.
Problematic Woman of the Week sounds good. I want to make a t-shirt or a button of that to wear on the show.
I'm hearing crown.
That's a good idea. I like that.
I'm hearing we need t-shirts immediately. Maybe some merch. I don't know. We'll see. Here's what we have on deck for today's episode. Trump held a marathon cabinet meeting, and I personally watched all 3+ hours of it, so you don't have to. So we'll break down the highlights and what they mean. And also the biggest pop culture news of the week, maybe even of the year, is Taylor Swift is engaged.
Honestly, maybe the decade.
I know. Who knows? Of the era. Yeah. But first, of course, we will have to address the tragic shooting at Annunciation Catholic School in Minnesota, what we know so far about the incident, and how some Democrats have decided to react to it. So strap in, get cozy. We are breaking it all down today for you on Problematic Women. Welcome back. I'm Elise McHugh.
I'm Chris Lavanham.
And I'm Isabel Brown.
Isabel, how have you been? We have not seen you in a brick.
I know, a couple weeks now, which is awesome. I feel like every time I come in, a whole month has zoomed by and my baby's at a totally different stage. My life's at a totally different stage. We are getting ready for the relaunch of my show with Daily Wire, which is so exciting.
When is that happening?
Tentatively mid-September. We're giving everybody more details very, very soon, but shooting all of the test pilots and everything right now. Built out a beautiful new set in my basement from my home studio, which is awesome. And we're hard at work scheduling all kinds of exciting guest interviews right now.
I love to see and love to hear. I've actually been following your show since high school, college.
No way.
So this is pretty
awesome.
insane to sit next to you and also to hear that your show is just getting bigger and more people, more eyes are going to be on your show. So I'm so proud of you and
Thank you.
Happy to hear everything and just, I'm so excited
It's
to catch
a
up with you
very,
again.
very exciting time for all of the women in the conservative movement right now, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, first off, I do think we need to address the biggest and most tragic news of the week, possibly of the past few weeks, the tragic shooting at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, Minnesota. What do we know so far? What's gone on? Who's investigating what? And what have some of the reactions been? Unfortunately, there were a few deaths of children. They were at their first mass at this Catholic school, at this Catholic church, and many people were injured. And FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed that the shooter is Robin, formerly Robert Westerman, a man who identifies as a woman. This just absolutely rocked my world when I heard about this. What were you guys thinking when it all happened?
I just had flashbacks to the Nashville shooting from not too long ago, right? Really kind of similar themes, a lot of chaos and confusion and just sadness.
Yeah.
Obviously on the part of the victims who were killed or injured and their families, but also for these perpetrators, right? It's just devastating to see what has wrought our generations and upcoming generations' brains with the chaos and confusion.
I'm still just unbelievably devastated, and the more news that comes out, the more horrified I am. I think everybody feels the same way. What's really troubling, I think, is all this information from this manifesto that's coming to the surface. And I generally tend to have something I like to call the 48-hour rule with school shootings. I try not to rush in and provide a ton of commentary on exactly what we know about the motives or the potential perpetrator or whatever, because so much information still has yet to come to light. But I think what's really particularly horrifying to me and not sitting well in my soul is how the media is responding to this and how politicians are responding to this. I'm not surprised that they're using this opportunity to politicize the tragedy, but this weird attack on prayer and Christianity and almost insinuating that it's because they were in Catholic Mass that this tragedy happened is new. And it's really disgusting, and it genuinely has just broken my heart in so many different ways.
Almost immediately, that was their reaction. I mean, we saw Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey immediately go on CNN, talk to the press and say, they were praying. It's not about thoughts and prayers. And then CNN's Dana Bash reacted to it. Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota reacted to it. And so did so many people. And thank goodness on Thursday morning, Vice President J.D. Vance was like, this isn't about prayer with no action. Yeah. And, Republicans are trying to get action, but it's not the action that the Democrats want.
Yeah.
And so obviously they're taking this moment to just politicize and use this tragedy. And if I was a parent or part of that community, I would just feel so unsupported by my elected leaders who immediately their first reaction is to shame us for praying.
Well, I think that's the part that's so gross to me about the politicization of prayer and our faith. Yes, these children were in Mass. It is tragic that this happened during Catholic Mass. It's tragic if this happens at any point, but particularly that it seems religiously motivated and some sort of potentially dark demonic influence associated with some of this. I cannot imagine being a mom or dad of one of these children that have tragically lost their lives or have been shot by a depraved individual. The only thing I have left to fall back on is my faith and knowing that God never abandons us and knowing that we can very safely rely on the fact that martyrdom still happens all over the world, but it is a gift to be united with God in heaven. And then to see my mayor or my governor or my whatever talking head on CNN all of a sudden use my grief as an opportunity to say that my faith means nothing. Like, what an unbelievable slap in the face to those parents. And I can't imagine the feelings they must have seeing these tweets all over the news, seeing live news commentary from people like Dana Bash saying prayers mean nothing, enough with your prayers, stop doing that. That's so disgusting.
Well, we can pull up. We have a screenshot from an interaction between Circle Back Jen Psaki, the former press secretary, and Vice President Vance, who is a Catholic convert himself. So, obviously very meaningful to him. And I'll just read this. We'll put it on the screen. But Jen Psaki says, prayer is not freaking enough. Prayers does not end school shootings. Prayers do not make parents feel safe sending their kids to school. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and prayers. To which Vice President Vance, to his credit, says, we pray because our hearts are broken, because we know God listens. We pray because we know that God works in mysterious ways and can inspire us to further action. You can see the rest of it on the screen. But just finally someone with some moral clarity stands up and says something and puts these leftists in their place.
I think it's interesting. I've been wrestling with how to talk about this for the last few days, but I often say that we feel so shell-shocked by genuine Christian persecution in our country because for so long, especially during our lifetime, it's been relatively quite normal to be a Christian, right? Most of the people in your school classroom are Christian. Most of the people who live on your dorm hall celebrate Christmas. Most of the people that you go to work with are celebrating the same holidays and reciting the same prayers on the way to work. And it's generally the undertow of our American culture. So when we think persecution, I think we think about an Instagram post getting taken down, or you lose access to your bank account, or God forbid you might lose your job, or, oh no, a new law says that nuns have to provide birth control in their healthcare plans, right? And that's so insane in terms of persecution. But we are forgetting that literally every single day, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of our Christian brothers and sisters are beheaded for going to church, for praying outside publicly, for openly worshiping Jesus Christ. And I think martyrdom as a concept often gets looked at as a footnote in a chapter of Christian history from thousands of years ago, that this is something they dealt with in the Colosseum of the Roman Empire. But it's an active reality for people all over the world trying to actively practice their faith. And to see this prayers mean nothing thing from Jen Psaki or from the mayor of Minneapolis or whoever is so ridiculously out of touch with where the church is at in the world today. It's almost like they're trying to sweep under the rug the fact that evil still does exist, that there is a level of spiritual warfare that of course is happening all around us at all times. And I know we overdo the everything is demonic thing all the time. Like, no, not everything is. Taylor Swift is not demonic, probably, okay, people?
Probably.
But some things are. Some things legitimately are. And when you're looking at these doodles of somebody, seeing themselves as a demon in the mirror, or writing on magazines for firearms that this is my body, take of it and eat, openly mocking the mass, there is a level of that evil there. To immediately sweep that under the rug and say, don't pray about it, don't have any sort of hope about it, don't even touch it because that does nothing. It's so out of touch.
It's so weird. And also the immediate reaction of don't pray about it, but then also don't be mean to the trans community. I'm seeing a lot of that coming out right now. And Jacob Frey is like, don't use this as an opportunity to
I think he said villainize. People are villainizing the trans community. And I'm like, dude, your own constituents just had children's lives, age 8 and 10, by the way, the two children that have been confirmed dead so far. taken by someone who is mentally unstable because of transgenderism and gender dysphoria. Talk about unbelievably out of touch with the people you were elected to represent.
And I read on the New York Post this morning that recovered from this individual's YouTube account. He said that he feels very tired of being a transgender individual. He can't cut his hair because that's the last thing he has connecting him to being trans. So obviously he was hurting. He was in a poor mental state, but he was enabled.
Yeah.
So, and just saying that prayers don't work. Like why was that your first reaction? You mentioned Jen Psaki talking about that. And she also mentioned how the National Guard
is just about to get to that, right? Kind of hard pivot-ish, right? But sticking with our theme of circle back Jen here, she posted also in regards to the school shooting, when kids are getting shot in their pews at a Catholic school mass and your crime plan is to have the National Guard put mulch down around D.C., maybe rethink your strategy. But Isabel, I think to your point is spot on about how disconnected the left is in general. It's not just Democrats. It's like this entire leftist regime. They're so disconnected from what the American people want and what their concerns are. There's a new poll out just this week. 99% of Americans agree that crime is an issue in big cities.
99. I mean, you can't even make that up.
Like I see so many talking heads and experts on TV saying these are all 80-20 issues, and the left are continuously on the 20 side. It's like this is even worse.
It's like 99.999%
of Americans think that crime is an issue in our big cities.
Of course it is. And you would be insane to think even remotely that it's not an issue, right? These are the same people who live in these cities. Of course, they live within like a 2-block radius of the National Mall, probably.
So have security details of their own.
Exactly. Personal security at their building and driving them around and everything else. But it takes me back to, I think it was the Washington Post running a bunch of stories right after the National Guard takeover happened here in DC a few weeks back. A local resident came forward anonymously because they didn't want their name to be out and said, "Oh, I've always felt safe here, except for this instance and this instance and this instance, but I don't want to give my name."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, of course you don't want to give your name. You're going to be targeted for something like that. You're saying the quiet part out loud. It's not safe to live here. And the sheer number of journalists like Jen Psaki, I don't know that she actually said anything like this, but people who work with her who have said, "Oh, well, I live in the D.C. area. I live in Arlington, or I live in Virginia or Maryland, but D.C. is totally safe." You live there for a reason, people. Okay? Just connect the dots for 2 seconds.
And our past Problematic Woman of the Week, Reagan Reese, said that she even moved to Virginia out of DC because of crime, and then crime started happening on the cities very close to DC. So it's just like
it's a spillover effect for sure.
Absolutely.
So let's break it down too. And I want to play this clip of Muriel Bowser, for the DC mayor, who can't hide it anymore.
We greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city. The most significant thing that we are highlighting today is the area of crime that was most troubling for us in 2023. Now, we have driven it down over the last years, but I'm going to get my glasses so I can make sure I can see it correctly. But for carjackings, the difference between this period, this 20-day period of this federal surge and last year represents a 87% reduction in carjackings in Washington, D.C. We know that when carjackings go down, when the use of gun goes down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer. So this surge has been important to us for that reason.
She can't gaslight us into thinking that, Trump sending the National Guard in and really stepping up since August 7th, security in the District of Columbia hasn't helped. So we can roll that clip really quick. You've seen yeah. So Muriel Bowser herself, the mayor, says that she can't deny. She has to give Trump credit. The carjackings are down 87%.
It was so hard for her to get through that sentence too. Like when I first watched that, I was like, "Ooh, she doesn't want to be saying any of this." But she never specifically thanked Trump. But
of course
it's the implication, and not even implication. Like she is like, "Thank you so much for the extra help. We actually have a really big steep decline in crime this period compared to this time last year. And I'm like, just say it.
Oops. What could possibly have caused that? Not to mention, didn't we have the first chapter in like modern history with no homicides for almost 2 weeks?
Almost 2 weeks, no homicides, which the fact that that's even a statistic that we have to track is absolutely insane. So you've got that. They have arrested 8 gang members so far in the past couple of weeks, and they have found 4 missing children.
Wow.
In
That's
this process,
big.
Wow.
Which is huge, like reuniting kids with their families. And I mean, this all started on August 7th. There's been over 1,000 arrests. All these agencies are involved, and people are not mad about it.
No.
Absolutely. Actually, in his cabinet meeting this past week, President Trump talked about how there are people he sees on TV, and sometimes when he tells stories, I'm not 1,000% sure, like, where are you seeing this, Trump? But he was like, I see black women on CNN saying, we want Trump in Chicago. And the people of Chicago, other than Governor J.B. Pritzker, like, really want a crime crackdown here. And that is one of the things that he mentioned in his marathon cabinet meeting.
Can we talk about this cabinet meeting for just a second? Like, 30,000 foot view. This thing was longer than The Godfather, the film.
It's the longest cabinet meeting in
3
history.
Hours. Over 3 hours long. God bless the reporters that had to like stand in the room the whole time.
I'm about to out myself. Well, probably not really as a theater kid, but can we just like make these like the cabinet battles in Hamilton where they just wrap it out for 3 minutes and then they
I love that.
It really helped me
feel
in
like
A-Push. But
Secretary Rubio would win.
Oh, poor guy.
Like,
I feel so bad for him. Someone needs to get that man like a permanent caffeine patch because I can only imagine what it's like to carry the weight of basically half the cabinet as one person, but he's doing great. God bless him.
have you guys seen that kids movie, Meet the Robinsons?
Yes,
with the caffeine patches. Yeah,
I just rewatched that not that long ago. Tearjerker, by the way, if you don't remember. As a grown-up, oh my gosh, I was sobbing my eyes out holding my baby watching that movie. Anyway, this cabinet meeting was fascinating to me for that reason. I do hope that they expand this program. I really do. And I think that's a controversial thing to say for whatever reason. People around the country are saying that would be such a totalitarian, fascist, authoritarian regime move. The classic talking points for everything that Trump has ever done.
There wasn't a problem, but there is totally a problem.
But I look at cities like Denver. I grew up about 30 minutes outside of Denver. Colorado used to be one of the safest places in the country. We literally never locked our door to our house. Ever. My entire childhood, everyone left their garage doors open all summer. The worst thing that could happen to you was a bear would get into your trash. And that was pretty much it. And now Denver is one of the #1 cities in the country for carjackings, for violent crime, for sexual assault, for homicide, for everything. My parents won't even go to Denver anymore, except if they have to go to the airport. They just refuse to go. And we saw what happened with all of the gangs in Aurora and all of the media cover-up of stuff like that. I think we need a really hard reset button in most of the metropolis areas around the country. In Denver and Seattle and Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York. And I would be so curious to see this program repeated over and over again. People are criticizing Trump for calling this a national emergency, but if this isn't a national emergency that like people can't go outside of their house, I don't really know what else would classify as one.
Yeah, I mean, it's really basic, like Maslow hierarchy of needs stuff that we're talking about. Basic physical security, that you can go outside of your home and not have to be worried that there's a threat to your life. Like, this is so simple, so simple. And you have governors like J.B. Pritzker and others like refusing. What leadership would it show if you're especially on the other side of the aisle and you're like, okay, like, we're going to call the sky blue. Facts are facts. We can't deny what they're doing in D.C. is working. And maybe we pick up the phone and call President Trump and say, hey, come help us out.
We'll take it. Yeah.
So I got to give it to Muriel Bowser, DC
Yeah.
mayor, for kind
Not
of
that I ever want to give her anything, but
I never thought I would say that, especially here. But I got to give it to her because the opposite is J.B. Pritzker encouraging nonviolent protests if the National Guard is sent there. And actually, our White House correspondent here at the Daily Signal, Elizabeth Mitchell, asked Trump about that. And Trump basically said what you said. He would respect him so much more if he just picked up the phone, called him, and said, hey, I need help in my city. But instead, he's encouraging nonviolent protests. Come on. Like, who's going to draw the line there to just helping out constituents? And I would be so mad if I lived in these cities, Republican or Democrat or apolitical. I would just be like, well, there's a problem and you're actively working against my safety. So
well, it's going to be really interesting too, especially coming out of the school, the mass shooting this week. There's always this reaction period, right? And over decades now, we've seen a slow erosion of our Second Amendment rights, red flag laws, all kinds of sneaky ways that don't really get a lot of coverage in the media, other than, you know, every town being like, ban guns, gun-free zones. And it's like, DC is a gun-free zone. Chicago, gun-free zone. New York City, gun-free zone. All three of which have some of the highest crime in the entire country.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that just straight up abolishing weapons, guns, is solving any problem.
Well, I think about even a firestorm story kind of taking social media by storm at the moment, with the picture of that young girl in Scotland holding a knife and an axe in each hand, because we don't know the whole story. Some of the information is still coming out, but allegedly because she and her sister were afraid of being sexually assaulted by migrants in Dundee, Scotland, of all places, and didn't feel safe walking out of their home without some level of protecting themselves as 12 and 14-year-old girls.
Yeah.
This is happening all over the world. Like, there is an evil problem happening in our society, particularly in the West, far more than there is a problem of what particular weapon is at the problem of the chapter of the century here, right? I mean, the UK has the highest knife crime rates in the entire world, and their violent crime rate is roughly the same as the United States per capita. They love to point the finger and say, oh, guns are so the problem in America. Look at the gun crime rate, everything firearms, get rid of firearms. But Europe has its own problems too, and it has its own fair share of wrestling with this concept of evil. And I think this is an interesting moment concurrently with the cleanup of DC happening, for people to stop in their tracks to think, okay, what is going to be the solution here? How can we keep as many people safe as possible without violating as many rights as we possibly can? And make sure we prioritize our humanity again. That's really the part that's been missing about all of this. It all boils down to the weapon, or it all boils down to whatever the political talking point of the day is. But how can we see each other in the eyes of all being made in the image of God again?
And how can we protect the most vulnerable out there?
Yeah.
Because there's no 12-year-old that should be walking around with a huge axe and machete, whatever you said it was. But also, maybe we should have her on the show, because I am just like imagining it right now. Have not seen the picture, but that sounds really cool. Coolest 12-year-old ever. Also, in this cabinet meeting, something that we've talked about quite a bit is Trump's statements on Chinese student visas. He did quite the turnaround. And in the cabinet meeting, he did mention that they will welcome up to 600,000 Chinese students to be allowed to come into our country and study. Previously in May, the State Department revoked a bunch of student visas. So, Crystal, I think you're more familiar with this subject than I am. So give us the rundown.
The TLDR. Well, it's too soon, frankly, to know exactly. I mean, we experienced this with the tariff issue, right? What President Trump does, he is a marketer in chief. He's a negotiator in chief. So a lot of what he says publicly is for use in those negotiations. We're clearly, the Heritage Foundation has been saying this for several years now. We issued a landmark paper on it a couple years ago. We are in a new Cold War with China. It's undeniable in so many different ways, from the tech angle to the Confucius Institutes, these professors that have been caught in, I think it was Michigan, with some bacteria that poisons crops and things like this. There's no doubt that we're in a Cold War with China, but that does not mean that we are not still at the negotiating table with them on a whole host of issues, right? And so I think that this is one angle for the president. We'll see how it plays out, but I think this is one area that he's identified as, I can use this as leverage. Yeah. Like this might work for our negotiations.
Yeah, I tend to want to give the president the benefit of the doubt on these things. Of course, I think it's wildly concerning that we are giving 600,000 spots at elite universities away to foreign nationals rather than prioritizing American citizens. And I think people are rightfully confused about that or concerned about that. But I do find it fascinating that the media, particularly the left-wing media, is trying to attack him on this, saying he's like abandoning his base or abandoning conservative values. This isn't a new policy. This has been the status quo for a very, 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 very long time. We have always given out these foreign student visas, essentially. So they're spinning this as if Trump just like invented this as a means to negotiate with China. This was literally the norm last year. Yeah. So I don't know why everybody's painting it that way.
And not 2-3 months ago, they were the ones throwing a fit about revoking these student visas, calling it racist, calling it every name under the sun. Now it's staying the same as what it's always been, and there's always something to complain about, but that's just what I think. I do feel
confident though, like if that is the case, that we're going to expand Chinese student visas or allow more Chinese students to take part in the American university system, that the State Department under Secretary Rubio they have done such an excellent job in figuring out who's overstayed their visas, who's not here with good intentions, things like this, that like if we are to expand that, I feel pretty good that under his leadership, they will have better oversight and more transparency in that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
That man has a great work ethic, have we seen.
Saving the country one day at a time.
So, I'm not too worried about this just yet. Yeah. And that is probably that was just like the biggest piece of news to come out of that cabinet meeting that really shocked me. Except for this next thing. But before we get to it, because I know you guys are all on the edge of your seats, you can probably guess what I'm going to say. I just want to say, please follow us, Problematic Women, on Instagram, because we have some exclusive bonus content, some interactive things you can really sound off and give us your opinions. And also, if you're not watching on video, Problematic Women right now, if you're just listening, great. Welcome. Happy to have you here. But please watch us on YouTube, Rumble. We have some great outfits on and a great new set. This is actually Isabel's first time in the new set.
I know. I love it. It's really cozy and fun. I love it.
Love it so much. And maybe we'll get some fall decor when it comes around. I'm really excited. But please just thank you so much for watching Problematic Women. And if you want a more consistent daily news rundown, check out Top News in 10, hosted by Tony Kinnett. He also hosts the Tony Kinnett Cast, all Daily Signal products. You can pop it on in the morning, on your commute, on your walk to work, whatever you do in the morning. 10 minutes, news of the day. Here's what you need to know for today, and a little recap of yesterday's news. It's great. I listen to it, so I walk into work and I actually know what I'm talking about. So thank you, Tony. And we'll have links to everything I just mentioned in the comments. But first, the biggest news, at least in my opinion, to come out of this cabinet meeting, not to come out of it, but our previous Problematic Woman of the Week, Reagan Reese, broke the news to the cabinet meeting that Taylor Swift is engaged to Travis Kelce.
This was like 2-ish hours into
she like just interrupted the meeting and said, I'm so sorry. I gotta say this. It was hilarious.
I was clipping the cabinet meeting and I get a bunch of texts from my sister and I'm just like, I'm swiping them away. I have to pay attention to this meeting. And I get a call from her and I'm like, I don't know what it is. Maybe my nephew's doing something funny. And then she texts me, T Swift engage. And I was like, SOS. Okay, two thoughts. I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought this would happen. And second, I just wasted 2 hours of my life because this is going to totally eclipse anything from this cabinet meeting. And I was right. But I'm so excited, dude. Do you guys ever think she was going to get engaged?
I don't know. I guess I hoped for her at some point. I think generally I'm pretty tempered on the Swiftie mania. I like Taylor Swift. I like her music. I used to be a really big fan of her in like middle school and high school. Haven't loved the last few albums as much. My last truly favorite album was 1989. And allegedly the new album is very much 1989 vibes. So I'm quite excited for it.
Same producer, Max Martin.
There you go. Nice. But you know, I mean, she's probably the most single influential woman on the face of the planet without any hesitation to say that. And of course, I love when somebody at that stature and with that much cultural influence has their happy ending and gets to inspire so many other people to get married and potentially start families. I'm genuinely so happy for her. She seems really settled with who she is. Like watching the podcast with her and Travis, we've never seen her interact with a boyfriend ever in public. So that was new for people. But I think I've seen her more at peace with herself, at peace with her life. She feels gentler and softer and not quite as abrasive lately. She's just like in her happy baking sourdough trad wife era. And I'm genuinely so happy for her.
She really is.
No, it's so funny because you just use that adjective. It's the same thing that popped in my mind. I'm like, it's like this softening of this like radical feminist energy where she's like embracing her femininity, embracing this like, and their engagement was so traditional.
It was beautiful.
It was just beautiful. It's like this whole thing where it's like we've watched them over the past year and a half? 2 years. 2 years, I think. Now. And you've just kind of seen this evolution of Taylor Swift into this woman and not just an angry girl anymore.
Exactly.
And it's like that I'm here for. And also, I'll say this is the closest thing we as Americans will ever get to a royal wedding.
My mom texted our group chat. I have two sisters, so it's 3 girls. And she texted our family group chat and said, let the royal wedding commence. And it was really cute,
This is our royal wedding, and I am here for it.
I wonder if it'll be televised. I also wonder who's going to be the maid of honor. That's...
There's a lot of memes about Blake Lively doing some damage cleanup work now about hopefully getting invited back into the wedding party. But truly, I'm just blown away at this evolution of her. I think what we last saw in terms of like deep dive into her personal life was the documentary about her that came out a few years ago. And she was very abrasive, very sharp, very rough around the edges. She was very liberal, politically oriented, upset at pretty much everything. And that was a totally different person from who I saw on that podcast. So we love a healing moment for any girl, obviously, especially when you've had such a troubled dating history. And I think any girl can probably tell you after you've had really bad breakups, of course, you're very negative about the world and you don't know who you are and very jaded. Yeah. And that's been kind of the theme of her last several albums. So I think a marriage album would be a fantastic listen. I hope that's our 13th album from her. And fun little anecdote I was seeing on social media today. People were analyzing the pictures of her getting engaged, and there's a big indent in the curl of her hair right here that looks like where the headphones were sitting from the podcast. So a lot of fans are speculating that they invited her to do this podcast to announce her new album, but while they were recording it was when he set up in the backyard and then took her out there to ask her, which is so sweet. And he just seems to me to be a true gentleman in so many different ways that way. He seems softer too, right? I mean, he used to have a very kind of gangster punk energy earlier about him, and now he's in his happy boyfriend era. So there you go.
Talking about bread puns with her on the podcast. Actually, so from that clip where it showed the picture showed an indent, someone found the clip in the New Heights episode when she's talking about like, oh, I love this podcast. It's brought me everything. It's brought me my boyfriend. And then Travis and Jason Kelce give each other a knowing look.
Oh, they knew. They knew.
But yeah, they posted about it. So beautiful. It's a little secret garden wedding. And the caption was very millennial, and I loved it. They're very true to themselves. They said, your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married with a dynamite stick.
And that stands for?
Like boom?
TNT.
Oh,
Oh! I would have never even seen that. Oh, that's good. The whole symbolism thing, I don't get very deep into the lore because, frankly, I have way too much going on. I don't have the time.
You have a child.
But that's amazing. I didn't ever think about that.
That's my little millennial tidbit for the day.
Nice. I love that. You learn something new on the show every day.
Love that for her.
Apparently, the ring was between 7 and 10 carats. I don't know what that means. But it is estimated to be between $3.5 and $5 million.
Wow.
Isn't there like a rule for guys where it's supposed to be like
3 months of your salary?
Yeah.
There's a great episode of The Office about that where Michael Scott thinks it's 3 years of your salary. It's just fantastic.
Hey, if my boyfriend's watching, it is supposed to be 3 years of your salary.
Well, it is also funny in coinciding with the summer I turned pretty and the very sad ring situation there. It's funny to see everyone commenting on Taylor Swift's ring for sure.
Oh my gosh, those two fandoms are so intertwined. I saw so many memes about the Jeremiah ring versus the Taylor Swift ring. It was so great. But I do want to get to something that I absolutely loved about this engagement. I was introduced for the first time to Ed Kelce, Travis Kelce's dad, because he just like has no media training at all. He's talking about the engagement.
Midwestern dad.
I love it. I mean, even his mom just like posted a meme of them as kids. And it was a tweet. It said like, these two are getting married. So cute. I love it. It's so relatable too. And for everyone who said that this was a PR stunt, like they're getting engaged now, so take that. But anyway, back to Ed Kelce. He has been telling the press a lot about this engagement process, and something that really stood out to me that he said was they share a bond not only in love, but also in their shared values, strong work ethic, and future family goals.
Let's go.
Let's go. And I genuinely, I do not think Taylor Swift is trad. And I think that's totally okay. I know a lot of people are trying to be like, oh, her new era is like, she's genuinely a trad wife and whatever. And I'm like, it's reminiscent, but it's not really. And that's fine. She's like a businesswoman, girl boss, but she like married the right person. It is getting married to the right person at the right time. And hearing that it's not just, oh, they love each other, but they have strong work ethic, shared values, and a future family goal that they share. That is amazing to hear coming out of the most powerful woman in pop culture right now.
In the world, and certainly the most culturally influential woman in the world. Yeah, you know, I think there's this rush, especially from conservatives, to basically demand that like anyone remotely adjacent to conservatism has to be a conservative. I think we've seen that a lot with Joe Rogan. We've seen that a lot with Elon Musk over the years. Like, no, not everyone has to agree with every single thing that you believe in order for you to be happy for them or to be positively optimistic about the impact that they're having on culture. Taylor Swift is probably never going to become like a raging conservative, and that's okay. Like that, she doesn't have to be by any means. But imagine the impact impact that she will have on an entire generation of mid-30s millennial women who have constantly been screamed at by every single influence in their life that children are evil and that marriage is evil. All of a sudden, I mean, she's what, 35?
35,
Yeah, all of a sudden these 30 to 35-year-old women are probably saying, if she couldn't have her happy ending, maybe I can still have my happy ending. And I think that is so powerful.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I love seeing her get her happy ending, not with these scrawny, very moody artist types, even though I love Maddie Healy so much. But I think it says something so much about the culture that we have wholeheartedly, with open arms, embraced Travis Kelce, toxic feminism in human form, as we talked about last week on the podcast. But that, as we've gotten to know him through Taylor Swift and all the media, we realize these stereotypes aren't true. And seeing that she's just getting her happy ending, living a pretty domestic life with this masculine man. Wow, that's a win.
Full send.
It's amazing.
All about it.
So I guess.
What do you think? When do you think they'll get married?
Oh,
that's a
I've
good
not
question.
thought about that. What do you think?
I am kind of torn. Part of me is like, I think they'll just do it quickly.
Yep,
I
I do
think they'll
too.
get married really fast. It'll be a really intimate thing. They're not going to make a huge deal out of it because I think, to your point, like I think they do want to have kids.
Yeah.
She's 35, and that's not. I mean, I'm 30s too, and it's not like that crazy. But it's like, okay, if you want to have kids, like, time to get to work. Like, time to get started, Taylor.
Yeah.
And so I think that, like, the idea of waiting a year for a big wedding or something like that, I don't see that happening.
No, I don't see that happening either, especially because she literally like cannot go outside right now with the whole world mobbing her. I wouldn't necessarily want the most intimate moment of my life to be so publicly shared with everyone. And that's what I was really surprised by with the podcast interview that she did. You know, she hasn't really been out in public much since the Eras tour, and she let people in on the fact that she wants to be in the kitchen baking and gardening and like doing all these things at home quietly away from the public's perception into what she's doing in her life. So I could imagine that they might even do an elopement. They might be very, very intimate with just immediate family. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation that they were already married very quietly behind the scenes. So we never know. You never know what someone's really doing in their personal life.
Before the end of the year.
Interesting.
I think she'll adopt a kid.
Ooh, that's interesting too, a la Millie Bobby Brown. This is interesting.
Yeah, this totally eclipsed every pop culture thing this week, but can we quickly talk about that? Millie Bobby Brown started Stranger Things when she was, 12? I think she's a little bit younger than me.
Yeah.
And the show is still going on, and in that time she is...
Stranger Things is still going on.
Oh,
It's
the
still going
final
on.
season is about to drop, and we have been waiting for years. I am so upset with how long this has taken.
I was the summer before high school when it started, and now I am like a full-grown adult. And that's crazy. And so is Millie Bobby Brown because she dated Jacob Sartorius. I don't know if you guys remember him, but anyway,
I don't remember
maybe he's
that.
more my age group. He's like TikTok star. He dated him, broke up
we
with
are
him.
old, so that's fun.
Got married to Bon Jovi's son, and
Legend,
now has adopted a child. That is crazy to me. The show's gone on for so long.
And I'm genuinely so happy for her. Everyone rushed to attack her for that somehow, that she like ruined her life getting married at 21 and then adopting a baby. So I saw so many horrible tweets about that last week with people saying that she basically like bought a child the same way as going into a PetSmart and picking out a pet. It was disgusting, genuinely. Tell me you know nothing about the adoption industry without telling me. But it was interesting because generationally, when we were quite young, I remember in our parents' generation, it was all the thing for the celebrity women to be adopting children, particularly from overseas. You saw that with Angelina Jolie and several other celebrities. Now adoption is like evil somehow, and people were suggesting that instead she should have used a surrogate, which is way worse. So I have no idea how people mainstreamed that idea. But that's interesting. You think Taylor Swift might follow suit and adopt a child?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like you know this. It takes so much of your life. It takes your entire life to carry a child and then have a child. She has this new album coming out. I don't see her dropping this album called Showgirl and then not doing a tour and not doing all this stuff. Like, I don't think she's gonna pause her career. Which
my hot take is, I think
Wasn't it like Rihanna that was doing shows pregnant
while she was
recently?
pregnant. Didn't she do the Super Bowl while she was pregnant?
Yeah.
she did, but still no album. It's been like 10 years.
Well, this is my hot take. I think Taylor Swift's last album is going to be her 13th album. I think
so
she's
too.
going to drop a marriage album and then just be out. And be like,
And then
all
I
right.
think she reveals she's pregnant at the Super Bowl halftime show when she's performing.
Maybe. That was a whole deep
crazy.
lore of the podcast too. But regardless, we talked a lot about a Trump baby boom right after the inauguration because there's so many really powerful policies going into effect nationally that is going to make it so much easier for people to have families already. That's made a huge difference in my family's life. And we like to joke that we kind of like started the Trump baby boom, all of us that had babies this spring. But could you imagine a confluence of circumstances where we have great pro-family policies being championed in the White House, and then there's a Taylor Swift baby boom that a lot of people are predicting on social media? I think we could totally fix our fertility crisis.
Great again.
Amen.
Amazing.
Amen.
That's what I'm seeing. I'm so excited for this. And I guess that can be our question of the week. Do we think Taylor Swift will inspire a marriage and or baby boom after this announcement? I think so. I think
so,
everyone
too.
who has a boyfriend is looking at their boyfriends with a little bit of a knowing look now.
The number of tweets I've seen in the last 24 hours of, I've been dating my boyfriend for 5 years and maybe I should be evaluating that. I'm like, yeah, probably.
So true. You know what? Yeah. I mean, not like we've been saying that type of stuff on our side for a while, but good for Taylor Swift for inspiring some thought. But last week's question of the week was, of course, New York Times reported that the Democrat Party lost over 2.1 million registered voters since 2020. So the question was, can Democrats save face with their voters and how? We got a number of responses. Thank you guys so much for responding on Instagram, Problematic Women. A lot of people just said, no, too late. It's over for them. Dear friend of the podcast, Emma Dayton, said, take that mask off. Face mask and circus mask both work. And maybe they'll save face. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, so true. Go off. Another person said, by cheating again, that's how they'll save face. And America Battelle said, they would need to just stop being delusional, and I just don't see that happening. For our sake, I don't see it happening too, and that'd be fine with me. But no, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think
Delulu is not the Salulu, as the kids say? I don't know. I mean, from what I'm seeing, the response to Reclaim Young Men in particular is all about making men embrace more BLM, more communism, more gay policy, more abortion. Pete Buttigieg went on this whole tirade a couple weeks back on a podcast when they asked him, how should we recapture young men? And literally he was like, make them care about abortion and LGBTQ issue. And I'm like, dude, you are way, way out of touch with where young men are at. Yeah. They are running as fast as they can in the opposite direction. I am fascinated by this rebrand of Gavin Newsom. I'm curious to see where this goes. Obviously, if you pay attention for longer than 5 seconds, it's just desperation trying to capture the attention of young people.
Liberals actually like the rebrand, though?
I don't know.
I think it makes them feel good about themselves because their whole thing is conservatives don't get that we're mocking Trump. And I'm like,
okay.
I think if you have to explain the joke, it's not funny.
Right, exactly.
Amen.
Right?
It's not working.
So I don't know. I think it's going to take a lot more than they realize to especially recapture the attention of young voters, let alone their entire voter base. They seem to be doing okay with older people protesting all over the country with the No Kings protests and the Elon protests. And every protest is all like 85-year-olds retired who were bussed in from the retirement communities to a park. Right. Nobody is under the age of 35 at these things, so they have a long way to go if they want to prove themselves to the next generation.
I think like millennials and younger all count us in. We're not counted out yet.
Yeah,
but everyone's just tired of being angry.
Yeah.
I think we're all trying to do our jobs and our careers and our families and live our lives. The last thing we need is to be told what to think, how to think, and that we should be angry about anything and everything. It's like, no.
Absolutely.
It's not appealing.
I think I've said this so many times on the podcast, but just liberal fatigue.
Yeah.
It's plaguing the country right now. I mean, we've felt it for our whole lives, basically, but especially now. Even last night, I was sitting out on my porch and I hear in the distance a bunch of people screaming, free, free, free Palestine with like their pots and their pans. And I'm like, okay, Camp Rock, like go off. But it was, I was like, how long are you guys going to be doing this? Because I got to go to bed soon. Yeah. So I think everyone on the right and the left, I think Democrats are generally smart, maybe not the ones that we see all the time, but there are people in that party who do know what the solution is. The right knows it, the left knows it. They just need to be normal. Just be normal.
Just be a normal person.
Actually,
but they won't.
Don't figure it out.
Yeah, I'd be okay if they didn't, frankly. I keep waiting for them to
Keep pushing
have
Jasmine
some sort
Crockett
of...
and Pete Buttigieg and
Amen.
Gavin Newsom.
Yeah,
Amen.
I'm here for Vance 28, 32,
Yeah, I would pay
Rubio.
a lot of money to watch a Vance Newsom debate for president of the United States.
And
That would make me quite happy.
Maybe that should be the Hamilton-style cabinet battle.
There
Like,
we
that'd be
go,
fun.
there we go.
Oh my gosh. Well, Isabel, it's been so much fun having you on the podcast today. And I'm so looking forward to having you back next time. Again, tell our viewers how we can watch your new show with
Yes,
Daily
indeed.
Wire.
Just a couple weeks away. You can find it on all of my existing social media platforms, or if you're a subscriber to the Daily Wire, it will live on all of their streaming platforms as well. Can't wait to share all the details with you guys.
Oh, so excited to get the backstage view of that when it comes out. But yeah, thank you so much. And we had so much fun. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. Be sure to follow us on all of our socials so you never miss an episode or bonus content. And we will see you back here next week.